Shalom, shalom, everyone. I'm back after a long hiatus and bringing a little more info to identify who and when Job was. Be sure to click the subscribe button and the like if you feel that this video is valuable. Now, I'm not really going to go over all the information that I went over in my last video. If you are led, click on the part 1 in the link or in the description below. Okay, so in this video we'll be moving from the Septuagint to the KJV to the Pseudepigrapha to the Apocrypha and the Book of Jasher. Please be patient as we'll be comparing info in the books to show who Job was. Some still aren't convinced that Job was a descendant of Abraham, so I intend to further confirm my last video on the topic. I do want to point out that if a person wanted to get the whole picture, you can't just use the Hebrew text. You have to use other sources as well. So we will begin in the Apocrypha, the Book of Jasher, chapter 58. So just to give a brief overview, the children of inheritance left to the seed of Jacob after his death. During this time, Esau was beheaded by the seed of Dan, as seen in chapter 56. Check it out for yourself. So after they got their butts handed to them, or in Esau's case his head, they came and fought again, being led by King Bela, who died. Now we arrive at verse 26, and it reads, "And when the children of Esau saw that their king had died in battle, they hastened and took a man from the people of the children of the east. His name was Jobab, the son of Zarach, from the land of Bozrah, and they caused him to reign over them instead of Bela the king. And Jobab sat upon the throne of Bela as king in his stead. And Jobab reigned in Edom over all the children of Esau 10 years. And the children of Esau went no more to fight with the sons of Jacob from that day forward. For the sons of Esau knew the valor of the sons of Jacob, and they were greatly afraid of them." So immediately the thoughts that came to me was, why was there peace? Was it simply because they were afraid of him? Answer is no. It's because their king that they had, who was Jobab, was a righteous king as well. So let's continue to confirm who Jobab is in this text. In Job chapter 42 and verse 17 in the KJV. Please make sure to follow along. And it reads, "So Job died, being old and full of days." So right here we can see that is Job. Not just playing. So we're going to go to the Septuagint in the same verse, in the same chapter. "And Job died, an old man and full of days. And it is written that he will rise again with those whom the Lord raises up. This man is described in the Syriac book as living in the land of Uz, on the border of Idumea and Arabia. And his name before was Jobab. And having taken an Arabian wife, he begot a son whose name was Enon. And he himself was the son of his father Zerah, one of the sons of Esau, and of his mother Bozrah, so that he was the fifth from Abraham. And these were the kings who reigned in Edom, which country he also ruled over. First Balak, the son of Beor, and the name of his city was Dinhabah. But after Balak, Jobab, who is called Job, and after him Asam, who was governor out of the country of Thaman, and after him Adad, the son of Barad, who destroyed Midian in the plain of Moab. And the name of his city was Githaim. And his friends who came to him were Eliphaz of the children of Esau, king of the Thamanites, Baldad, sovereign of the Sakians, Sophar, king of the Minians." So what we see is that it's the same Jobab from the book of Jasher, and it's the same Bela from the book of Jasher. So, just to confirm, it's saying that Job is the same Jobab from the book of Jasher, being a descendant of Esau. But let's not stop there, let's continue. Let's look at the different accounts of what happened to Jobab, from the Septuagint to the KJV to the Pseudepigrapha. In Job chapter 2 and verse 8 in the KJV, it reads, "And he took a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes." Let's look at it in the Septuagint. And it reads, "And he took a potsherd to scrape away the discharge, and sat upon a dung heap outside the city." Okay, so that sounds more disgusting to me, which would make me even wonder why he would even sit in a dung heap. That's a mouthful. I'm not even going to go into. But anywho, let's look at the Pseudepigrapha. It's going to be from the Testament of Job, chapter 5. And I'm going to start at verse 4 and go all the way down to verse 8. "And he resembled a great hurricane, and turned over my throne, and threw me upon the ground. And I continued lying on the floor for 3 hours. And he smote me with a hard plague, from the top of my head to the toes of my feet. And I left the city in great terror and woe, and sat down upon a dunghill, my body being worm-eaten. And I wet the earth with the moistness of my sore body, for matter flowed out of my body, and many worms covered it. And when a single worm crept off my body, I put it back, saying, Remain on the spot where thou hast been placed, until he who hath sent thee will order thee elsewhere." Well, not only is that disgusting, it also confirms that the Septuagint is more of the correct translation in that sense, showing that he sat upon the dung heap, the same Jobab from the Testament of Job. But let's continue to verse 9 of Job chapter 2. "Now many people have never seen this." Well, in the KJV, many people has, and they've said it, and they bring it up often. And it reads, "Then said his wife unto him, Doest thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die." I've heard that plenty of times from a lot of people, but a lot of people have never heard it from the perspective of the Septuagint. Now check this out. Job chapter 2 and verse 9. "And when much time had passed, his wife said to him, How long wilt thou hold out, saying, Behold, I wait yet a little while, expecting the hope of my deliverance. For behold, thy memorial is abolished from the earth, even thy sons and daughters, the pangs and pains of my womb, which I bear in vain with sorrows. And thou thyself sittest down to spend the nights in the open air among the corruption of worms. And I am a wanderer, a servant from place to place, and house to house, waiting for the setting of the sun, that I may rest from my labors and my pangs, which now beset me. But say some word against the Lord and die." Once again, that is a mouthful. And you can see the pain and the anguish within her, all the anger, the upsetness from her losing her children, and having to submit herself to be a slave. Although they were in a high position prior, now she has to submit herself unto these people, working as a slave or as a servant to others, while he sits on a dung heap. But let's go to the Pseudepigrapha. The Testament of Job, chapter 6, verse 1 reads, "And immediately my wife came near me, and crying aloud and weeping, she said, Job, Job, how long wilt thou sit upon the dunghill, outside of the city, pondering yet for a while and expecting to obtain hope of salvation? And I have been wandering from place to place, roaming about as a hired servant. Behold, thy memory has already died away from the earth, and my sons and daughters that I carried in my bosom, and the labors and pains that I sustained have been for nothing. and thou sittest in the melanderous state of soreness and worms, passing the nights in the cold air. And I have undergone all trials and troubles and pains, day and night, until I succeeded in bringing bread to thee. So, I will continue reading because it's an interesting read, but that speaks for itself. It's the same as what it is within the Septuagint. I mean, maybe a few words off, but it's all the same overall. But let's end it off with one more passage in the same book, but chapter 1. The Testament of Job, chapter 1. On the day he became sick and he knew that he would have to leave his bodily abode, he called his 7 sons and 3 daughters together, and spake to them as follows: Form a circle around me, children, and hear, and I shall relate to you what the Lord did for me, and all that happened to me, for I am Job your father. Know ye then, my children, that ye are the generation of the chosen one, and take heed of your noble birth. For I am of the sons of Esau. I think that speaks for itself, and I'll end it there. Shalom.